Method overloading. In this video, I'll show you how to perform method overloading in Java. I'll create a project, new Java project, overloading, and finish. I'll create a driver class. The driver class is going to be our starting point of the application. We'll be driving the application. And for that, I need to include main method. So here in my main method, I will create some other, I will call the methods that are overloaded. Before I call the overloaded methods, I need to create them. So I can create them right here, or I can create them in another class. If I create them here, then I have to make them static because my main method will be calling them. So let me just copy this and let me change the arguments. So once I change the arguments, I actually already have two overloaded methods. This is one and this is another one. You see the name of the method is the same, but the number of parameters is different. So let me change the name. I will say add two numbers. Okay, or let me call it add numbers. Okay, so in first case, I will not send anything to the method. In another case, I'll send a couple of numbers. I want to show you that at the beginning, when I just copy this method, I'm getting the error because I cannot have two methods existing with the same name. So I have duplicate method name and one fix available rename method. But no, I want my method to be overloaded, which means I can use the same name, just send different order of parameters or different parameters altogether. So here I will pass number 1 and number 2. Okay, this is also going to be an integer. So I'll send two numbers, and now you see the error went away. So this is acceptable even though the name is the same. So with overloaded methods, you have to look at the signature of the method, which include everything except for return type. So the name of the method, the parameters, the order of the parameters. And the type of parameters that are sent, because I can have the two integers here, but maybe one of them I'll make a string. Okay, and I'll call it not number but message. Maybe I want to do something with the numbers and also pass a message. So you see, it's still two parameters, but one of them is different type. So the type matters. Now, if I make another copy, let's say for some reason I want to have where I send string first and number second to differentiate between the two. So if I change the order, you can see it is also acceptable. So it's considering that this method is different from this. These are two different methods providing different behavior. All right, so in here, let me perform some operation. So I'll just display number 1 plus number 2. So this will display a sum. Here I'll just say empty, because this method is actually empty. Here I'll display a number and then a message. And here it will be the other way around. So first I will display a message and then I will display a number. Alright, so I was going to put concatenation here like so. I want to put space here as well. Okay, like this. So now that I created all these different methods, overloaded methods, I want to call them. Let me remove extra lines so we can see more on the screen. Alright, so now in my main method, I will call each of these methods that I provided. First I will call empty one. Then I will call the one that I'm providing some numbers. Then I will call the next one, so number and a message. And then a message and a number. And message will say just hi. So let's run it. And you can see everything is working as expected. Add numbers is showing message empty. Then another one is adding two values. Add numbers 2 and 5 gives us 7. Next one is printing 3 and hello. Exactly what it's doing. So 3 and hello. And the last one, hi and 9. And that's exactly the order it's displaying. Of course, I can change the logic inside, but the main point here is to know that the signature of the method is important, the order of the parameters, the name of the method, all of this plays a role in method overloading, but return type is not playing any role. For example, I can say here return integer, and I will just return the number that I got without any extra logic. The point is to understand this return type is not going to affect method overloading. So if I create another method like this and I will say, oh, I want the same method, but here I want the return type string and I will return message, you can see that I'm still getting error because return type doesn't play a role in method overloading. This is not considered method overloading. In method overloading, the name of the method has to be the same. The parameters have to be different, either different order, like we have here, or just different types of parameters, like we have here, integer, string, or the number of parameters. So I can create another one here, add numbers. It's returning string right now, it's giving error. But if I add another parameter, num2, now it's working fine. So the number of parameters also matters in method overloading. Another thing I wanted to show you that just like we're creating these methods here, I can also put them in another class. Then I'll have to create an object class. I'll call it animal because my previous examples have animal. Just that's the only reason. And now take them from here, put them in here. In the driver class, now I'll have to create animal. Animal equals new animal. Alright, and to call this from the object, actually when I copied the methods, I kept them static. So if I want to make them instance methods, I have to remove this static keyword to make them instance methods. So now my warning went away, but it works exactly the same way. If you remember or if you saw previous tutorials about static methods, I can still have this method static. It's just not, this is not the right way to call them. These are class methods, so I have to call them on the class, not on the object level. So I can remove object in that case and run it again, still the same way. The most important is to understand the method overloading, and I showed you a couple of examples how to use them as this method as class level methods or instance level methods, or if you put them in the driver class, which would be same as class level methods.